channel. Today we will be discussing the implementation of Agile at different FAANGs: Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, you know, of course now they call it Alphabet. So these companies, they are the uh, big famous Silicon Valley companies, and they are world famous. Their products are used by all of us. No introductions there. And it's important to understand how do these companies use Agile in their workplace. And this will help aspiring job seekers gain an entry into those workforces and make those $500,000 salaries, maybe $1 million salaries, and make their dreams come true. So today I'm going to focus on that. Let's get into discussing what the latest trends are, and most importantly, just recently, Mr. Sundar Pichai of Google, he spoke about a simplicity sprint, and I'm going to be talking about that as well today. So let's get started. I'm going to discuss all the latest trends in Agile, how those help you get a job. And then finally, like I mentioned about the simplicity sprint that Mr. Pichai has just spoken about at Google. So let's get into this. The first and foremost thing is uh, let's talk about cloud-based agile. Now, this is a new and emerging trend. Everyone who's in software development knows what's agile. Of course, I have a whole bunch of videos that I have made already explaining in detail the different aspects of agile development. But today, I'm going to touch upon cloud-based agile. AWS, GCP, Microsoft, everyone has come out with their cloud platforms. Most companies now have a presence on these clouds, and you know that's just going to continue. It's going to get more and more popular, and more it's cost effective. So most companies are going in that direction, and if you work in a company that is still not adopted cloud, it's a matter of time before that happens. So it's necessary to understand its competitive advantage. Uh, this helps us think of new ways of testing, deploying. Uh, Clearly, there's advantages and there's differences as compared to the regular software deployment processes with regards to agile, and especially if you're doing cloud-based agile. Uh, it can lead to an enhanced product quality. Most importantly, very, very important, faster response to market. All the development that we do, agile in itself is a concept where we are talking about making a quick, change possible uh, to business conditions, and we've adapted the waterfall technology, style of development to be agile based so that we can respond more quickly and come up with products that reach the consumers more timely. But a cloud-based agile process is even faster, and that is why it is getting to be so important and so much popular. Cost. I think we just touched upon cost-effective strategy before. Clearly, you don't have to make those large capital investments of your own data centers, your own hardware. A lot of these models like AWS, GCP will offer you usage-based models where you pay as you go, and if you have 1,000 customers, you pay X. If you have 1 million customers, and corresponding traffic, you pay X. And this is perfect, especially if you're a startup or you're testing a new product, new service. You don't want to invest millions of dollars necessarily in that whole hardware infrastructure. You go and create a test bed, with a small set of servers, uh, and just let it grow. If it takes wind off, and consumers start liking it, and people come to your service, let Amazon make more money. Let them charge you more, right? Who cares at that point? Let Google charge you more, right? Who cares? You're successful. But you don't want to be out of pocket and invest in millions of dollars in advance, and only to find out that, hey, this product didn't work. And now, you have to repurpose that hardware. Apart from the fact that you have engineers and staff who spent hours and hours configuring that hardware and applying the right software on them and building up that infrastructure. And then, most importantly, the point we just discussed, the faster response to market, it will not happen unless you do a cloud-based agile approach. Now, all of these things, right? If you're faster response to market, you have better product quality, you're lower cost, what's all that going to lead to? It's going to lead to a higher client satisfaction. So when you come out with a product or service that is timely, less costly, uh, meeting the current needs of the market, guess what happens? You're actually servicing a need that exists today for the right price, at the right quality. You're not coming out 6 months after COVID came out and then you have started manufacturing a mask, right? Mask were needed when COVID hit. So the companies that who could create the PPE gear in 15 days, they made millions, right? The government needed those masks. People needed those masks. PPE manufacturers that had the capacity or could respond quickly got those contracts, right? Millions and millions of dollars, billions in some cases, I would think. But if you came up with a strategy, it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to put up a manufacturing plant, and then 3 months from now it will be ready, and then after that I'll start manufacturing. Come on, that's too late. We need something sooner, immediate. Same thing it applies in software, right? If we can respond fastly and give the right information, services, the products that people need, then only you will have client satisfaction. So again, all of this can be derived if you approach agile development from a cloud-based angle. Let's continue. A different popular concept in agile, which is taking root, is artificial intelligence and machine learning. And those are buzzwords, but they have a lot of meaning and value. These two things combined are becoming key elements of agile best practices. What do? They bring valuable data sources in your decision making. It permits you to, you know, with the help of AI, do a effective code evaluation, rather than just like a manual code review from developers. You now have the advantage of using AI to do a code evaluation, different test, performance test, chaos engineering, different types of evaluations of your code, how you can break it, how it can be successful, how much stress it can take, what kind of errors it can handle. You can really, really stress test your code with AI. That whole angle of testing can be enhanced so much that you can try and eliminate bugs that you could never imagine before when you had manual developers and manual QA folks, going through different use cases, scenarios, dependent on, hey, did all the requirements get captured correctly? Did the product manager make all the requirements, test cases in his document? Is the QA person creative enough? You can eliminate all of that. It will instantly scan through the whole code base. There's no need, again, for those eyeballs to try and stress about, hey, did I capture everything? Did I look at everything correctly? having multiple developers go through the peer review, peer coding, testing, all of that. That can be eliminated. And guess what? All that happens. It brings about valuable insights into your vulnerabilities. And that's the whole idea. That's the whole goal, right? And while agile is, a wonderful concept, you're having your developers, QA folks work together. They are responding to changes, to bugs, and quickly adapting to it. But when you introduce AI and machine learning into your whole development practice, agile development practice, guess what? Even those cycles are eliminated or significantly cut back. And all of this together is going to lead to faster deployments, faster time to market. And we've already spoken about that. That all just simply means better client satisfaction. So those two touch points that I spoke about primarily, revolve around software development. But software development can have and does have use beyond, just IT, right? Uh, Agile can be used in finance, in marketing, in human resources. It's a concept, right? It's not just IT code that, runs some applications, right? It's clearly got some business applications. So we need to be adopting the best agile methodologies to handle these complex processes, whether they're in finance, whether they're in marketing, whether they're in human resources. And the same concept of, development, right? Like, hey, you're bringing developers, QA people together. You can now bring people in the finance department together. You can bring marketing folks together. You can bring HR people together. Make them think, right? And improve in an iterative fashion. A marketing campaign doesn't have to be a one-time effort, right? It can be improved. You keep meeting, you do a test market. You launch your ad in one newspaper or one geographic zone and see how it does. Keep changing it till you feel that, hey, this is going to work, and then go nationwide. So that same concept can apply anywhere. And when we do this, it invariably will lead to some consolidation, because like I discussed, right, you do a test in one geographic market, right, for some marketing campaign, rather than you having a south, west, north, east, four teams in the country, one in Florida, one in California, one in Texas, one in Northeast New York, right? Now, quite often, you might realize that what works in one area might work in a different place, right? Or at least the same concept can apply. Uh, and when you go through that exercise, you will start learning and being able to start consolidating people and teams. So you will end up getting, basically smaller teams that are well trained and who can support, these complex processes. And invariably, like I said, the guys in the north, say New York, they can end up supporting your teams in Florida and California and Texas, and it doesn't have to be that, oh, you need to be living in Texas to, do a campaign in Texas, or you don't have to be living in Miami to launch a product in Miami, right? You could be a guy in New York and just a specialist, and hey, say that, hey, I know what I need to do, and I can get this launched all over the country. And so you'll end up having cost savings through reduction in number of employees that are needed to get a request out, or get a change out, or get a product out, or get a service out, or get a campaign out for that matter. So overall, this is going to be huge if you can start using the agile concept apart from just your IT applications or business applications and software, right? Apply it to your business processes. So expand, take advantage, and you'll be surprised and shocked at the benefits the organization starts getting. And these concepts are now utilized all over in FAANG as well, which takes me to the concept of a simplicity sprint. So recently, Mr. Sundar Pichai, Google CEO, he called on his staff to boost productivity with a simplicity sprint. Now, we all know Facebook's having a freeze, Amazon is having a freeze, Google is having hiring freeze. They are the leaders in our IT business services area, right? And when the leaders are having these kinds of freezes, it makes you think that, hey, what's happening? How do I adapt and make sure I stay employed and not just stay employed, but I also potentially be of value to my organizations, right? Clearly, everyone is saying, hey, raise your productivity, raise your productivity. So they're not just freezing hiring, they're also targeting the existing staff. Mr. Mark Zuckerberg has said that many times recently. So, what is Google going to do differently? They are going to open the floor to employees for suggestions on how to improve their product. You see what's happening? They're actually democratizing the whole process and taking that whole concept of developers and QAs in an agile sprint responding to problems to the business now. What they are being open about is being honest is in saying that, look, this company is no longer performing as it should be, and our current headcount is not as productive as it can be. They're being open, they're being honest, and they're telling their thousands or hundreds of thousands of staff that, look, let's change. And how are they going to change? So this is where the concept of simplicity sprint comes in. It's really crowdsourcing ideas for quicker product development from within the company, right? They have 100,000 staff, all highly paid, all brilliant people, gone through multiple rounds of interviews before they get selected. You know how hard it is to get hired into a FAANG. It's like 1% of the people who interview may get a job, and even smaller percentage of people who send in their resume who get even called for an interview, right? So these guys have gone through that rigor and have been hired by Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, right? Netflix. And now, after getting hired, the select cream of the cream are being told they're not as productive, right? Just imagine that shock to them that, look, we are the best and we are not as productive. And the company now is expanding that concept of the whole IT software development, agile processes to the whole company and saying, hey, this can apply to the whole product. It can apply to everything we do. And it can apply to improving productivity, which is what they're trying to do with this whole concept of simplicity sprint. So what's he going to do, Mr. Pichai? He's going to open up the floor for idea sharing, right? We are an internal survey that asks simple questions, like what would help you work with greater clarity and efficiency to serve our users and customers? Where should we remove speed bumps to get better results? How do we eliminate waste? Simple questions, right? It's borrowing from the concept of the agile sprint where developers, QA, product managers, project managers, scrum masters are meeting every day, on an open forum, right? In the daily stand-ups. Remember what I've explained to you guys? You meet daily, right? And you discuss and you solve problems until you don't remove those impediments. You don't do anything else. You stop. And this is what he's doing. He's having a stand-up. He's having a stand-up with his Google staff, 100,000 of them, trying to understand how do we eliminate waste, how do we remove speed bumps, right? How do we work with greater clarity and efficiency? This is the brilliance of a CEO at a FANG, and we must salute him and understand him and appreciate him able to take the concept of the agile software development model to the whole company. And I think this is going to be brilliant. It's very important that we understand that Agile has more application than just software. And, we can clearly see Mr. Pichai taking advantage of that. So with that, I would like to thank all of you for joining the channel today. Do subscribe to our channel if you like it. Do like our video if you liked it. And most importantly, I'll be back again with a detailed video on the whole cloud-based agile trend and details about what services exist in AWS and how to take advantage of that to reduce cost or time to market, etc. So with that, again, I would like to thank you for watching my video and have a good day.